Oh ya, sebelumnya mungkin teman-teman dari mahasiswa boleh open cam ya. Kita open cam
Yeah.
semuanya biar kita sama-sama melihat, jadi kita sama-sama bisa mendengar dan kita sama-sama bisa menyampaikan materi-materinya yang sangat bermanfaat ini. Halo,
Can you hear me now?
yes, it's
Okay, great.
thank you so much. Maybe I want to profile your profile, please.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Professor Hammond Limbong is a seasoned academic leader and Professor Emeritus, having most recently served as the Dean of the College of Business and Education. His journey is higher education is rooted in a deep commitment to both people and performance, blending expertise in organizational development with a passion for cultivating academic and student success. He holds dual bachelor degree in organizational sciences with a minor in business and healthcare, and vocal performance and composition, both earned in 2016. In 2020, he completed a master degree in adult organizational leadership and learning, followed by his doctorate in education in 2025 from University of Idaho. Professor Limbong's career reflects a unique blend of administrative and academic leadership. From 2016 to 2018, he served as Director of Admission, followed by a role as Director of Student Financial Aid until 2020. Transitioning into academia, he joined the faculty of the College of Business from 2020 to 22, later advancing to assistant dean and full professor in the College of Education from 2020 to 2024. In 2025, he was appointed Dean of the Unified College of Business and Education, where he led transformational initiatives that bridge interdisciplinary learning and innovation. His research and specialization lie in organizational development and human resource strategy, areas in which he continued to mentor emerging scholars and practitioners. Professor Limbong is an active member of Golden Key International Honor Society and deeply involved with the International Student Society, reflecting his lifelong commitment to inclusive global main education. Throughout his career, Professor Limbong has remained dedicated to developing resilience, organization, and nurturing the next generation of change maker in education and business. So, welcome, Professor Hammond Limbong. Nice to know you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that is a nice introduction, a very long introduction.
Yeah, very long. But your experience is so great, I think.
Oh, it's just, it takes time and dedication to get where you want. Anybody can do that as long as you have the motivation. So you can do that too.
I'm a human resource too, and nice
Yeah,
to know you as a person. So
that is wonderful.
yeah, so Professor Hawan Limong, time is yours.
Okay. So today, like I said, welcome everybody. I am excited to talk to all of you. Maaf ya bahasa Indonesianya nggak terlalu bagus, sudah kelamaan di luar negeri ya. Hampir 40 tahun nih. 35 ya.
Oh,
Jadi susah. Ya, kalau berbicara bahasa Indonesia, apalagi level apa ya, level universitas. Jadi mohon maaf kalau saya ngomongnya bahasa Inggris aja ya. So today we're talking about strategic leadership and innovation and agents of change. For me, I want to focus on the agents of change. Okay, so we'll do this in four parts, and I'll try to make it quick and simple. Number one, we'll start with the understanding of the digital era, and second, we'll do strategic leadership in and how it transforms. And then the third part will go with innovation and change agents, meaning that we're going to look at some of the characteristics of agents and how they can transform and adapt into the digital era. And then I'll use a couple of case studies in where I am familiar with Jakarta a little bit and some of the companies, and then we'll conclude. Like I said, again, my name is Hammond Limbong. You don't have to call me doctor or anything else, but I did get a lot of my education from the university in Idaho, and I am really excited to talk to all of you because you are students that are looking for you are our future, really. I just wanted to emphasize you are our future here in Jakarta. I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to learn as much as you can, but more so to be excited about the opportunities that you are going to obtain while you're going to university. My experience and background, she already mentioned, and very lengthily, is a lot of my work is consulting with big businesses in America. I have had contracts with Amazon and Apple, some of the Fortune 500 company through Forbes. Just gives me some more experience as an educator and also real life experience as well. So today we're going to talk about the thesis is an Asian and dynamic digital landscape. True strategic leadership is going to be embracing and change, but you also have to actively drive transformation by becoming agents of innovation and adaptability. So, first part, let's talk about the digital era. As you are aware, that everything is modernized. Everything, the technology, we have artificial intelligence now, AI, the usage of cloud, the IoT with Internet of Things, even blockchains. So, like, cryptocurrencies. A lot of businesses are using all these automations. So you are all familiar because you are a younger generation. And so you know a lot of these things just by natural living everyday life. In Jakarta, I know that you all use tons of apps, different kinds of applications on your phone, like Shopee, paying with Giris and paying with all kinds of applications. Everything is modernized. Back then, we didn't, everything was just pay by currency, pay by cash. But now banking is using automated digital services. There is a lot of expectation when it comes to using that modernized technology. Businesses are using speed, personalization experiences, and that's why data is very important for all businesses. They gather data just to make sure they can efficiently um, use your information for personalization and make sure you get the best service. So, understanding a lot of these things are very important as a leader. Secondary to that, globalization meets localization. The technology moves so fast. You can imagine the last 10 or 15 years, technology has grown so fast, but the adoption of that technology is still shaped by culture. So Indonesia has a very strong culture. We have a very strong religious culture. We have a lot of tradition. So how do you balance a lot of those cultures with new technology? It's a very confronting sides. I'll use a quote from Charles Darwin. Um, it's not really the strongest person that will survive, but the most that are adaptable to change are going to survive. Darwin said that as we should be able to adapt to it. Okay, let's talk about, and we'll come to a conclusion with that. Second part is strategic leadership in transformation. So, how can you become a leader that is strategic with all the changes and all the transformation that is happening? First, you have to have a visionary thinking. And by that, I mean you have to have some purpose align with digital evolution. You need to understand the purpose of all these digital changes that are happening around you. As a leader, if you do manage people, you have to inspire people beyond just their regular operational goals. What that means is, everybody has their daily task, everybody has their daily duties, but you need to inspire them beyond to think beyond just what they do. A good leader would have to understand strategically how to do that. Second to that, there's it's an agile mindset. So you have to live as a strategy constantly to make sure that you can empower quick pivots, decentralized decision makings. What that means is not just have a closed minded of like, oh, I'm going to take orders from my bosses, I'm going to take orders from my leaders. You have to decentralize, meaning taking yourself out of the mindset of centralized decision making and make some, strategic risks. Number three is people centric culture. Um, as a leader, you cannot act as better than anybody else. As a leader, you're a service. You're still service, and service is equal to leadership. So you're still following the mission of the company as well as servicing people. You would want to equip and upskill people, create a safe environment and psychological safety for all your workers or your team to make sure they can stay and the longevity and gain experience from you. I tend to use a lot of, um, you know, foul-proof, like foolproof use strategies. Like if you ever use the McKinsey 7S framework, look up McKinsey 7S framework or Cotter's 8 Steps to Change. Those two are really good to use as a strategy of being a good leader in this modern era. It really illustrates transformation from a good leader to a great leader, I would say. Okay, next let's talk about innovation and the role of change agents. Who are these change agents? The change agent is you, but what are the behaviors and the characteristics of a change agent? I would say a proactive disruptor from within the system, meaning that you have to push yourself to be a disruptor, not just continuously following the same trends all the time. Use your imagination, use your innovative skills to find ways to be a disruptor. It could work, it could not work, but you're giving, some effort and people will see that. You have to be champions of new technology. You have to be on top of ways of working and experimentation. So find ideas in your workplace so leaders can see you as an innovator. Some of the approaches that I find very helpful is open innovation. You partner with some of your other leaders, partner with startups, you partner with academia, you partner with, just use your time to gain more experience so you can choose and make decisions that are, decentralized from just the normal way of thinking. Um, Design thinking user first mindsets and data driven experimentations. You fail. So, one of the mottos is fail fast, but learn faster. So you can fail, and a lot of times it'll happen, but as long as you learn faster, the better you're off becoming a great leader. One of the barriers that I find in Asia and in Jakarta and in some of my travels in Asia, we have a hierarchical system. So you understand, where we are as a person and where government people are and people with power and people with money and people with education and the status of people. Javanese, Bataknis, other people. There's just so many hierarchies to try to get through some of the system to become a good leader. Another thing that I find in a lot of people, they are fearful of failure. They're so afraid to try new things because they think, well, I'm gonna fail. That mindset needs to stop. We all fail. That's the only way we can learn. And like I said, you can fail fast, but you need to learn faster. Compliance, one of the barriers to is compliance. Compliance driven mindset. Everything is yes. Everything is yes, ma'am, yes, sir. But behind those mindset, you need to be thinking outside of the box every single time. How can I improve? How can I make things more efficient? How can I improve my situation by using innovative and imaginary, strategies for where I work? And how do you overcome some of these barriers? You need to foster digital courage. What I mean, digital courage is you need to not be afraid of technology. Use a lot of these platforms. There are tons of online learning platforms. I mean, you have YouTube, you have TEDx, you have 10 programming 10-point programming systems. Use your time wisely to learn a lot of these digital platforms and information. Um, I think that's very important because by understanding a lot of these information, you can feel more comfortable going into your workspace. If you do work in a business that you have a team, you need to reward people with entrepreneurship. What I mean is give them a chance. Give them a chance to go and be, above and beyond to cross train. Give them some more responsibilities that allow them to think outside of the box and become a more, I think, valuable as a team member or a sub um, employee. Okay, let's go to part four. Let's try some Asian contexts and examples for case studies. So, one of the case studies that I found very interesting, and this is a good example. So, think about Grab, the use of Grab, right? The big company Grab, originally Malaysian, Singapore, now going all around Southeast Asia. You can imagine 10 to 15 years ago, we were just calling for taxis. We were just trying to use public transportation. But some person said, well, why not use the people that we have that have, decent cars to be able to work and provide transportation? And now you can imagine they became a super app, right? Everybody uses Grab. And that's one of the examples of culture of experimentation. And that was a fast failure too, because Grab initially didn't work really well. And Uber didn't work well here too. So they are gone, but they're still in other countries. But just that innovative idea changes everything, right? So if you can find those niche in other areas, it doesn't have to be transportation. There's so many other areas that still is open for opportunities. Shopping now they have Shopee. You have applications for technology. So even any differences. So you have the opportunity to gain all those areas and become successful. Gojek, that's another one. They empowered local drivers and scaled with data. So they were smart to use the data of Jakarta and surroundings and said, well, hey, there's Grab already. Why don't we create Gojek so we can empower our own people? So that's some of the examples that you can provide helping our own people in the nation of Indonesia. That's a really good example of agile teams. It crossed the borders. Our culture in Asia is very interesting. We have a lot of respect for hierarchy, and we have to evolve into trust and collaborative innovation. And so, like I said, the balance with tradition and transformation has to be maintained as well. So it's a very safe step or a conscious step that you have to go through as you go and finding a lot of these opportunities. Okay. So, for me as a student, if you do work in a company, I would use a couple of call to actions. So, hey, what is one digital experiment that your team can try to run this week or this month or this year? Use an experiment. And how will you remove one of these barriers to innovation in your organization this month? So, some of the barriers that I mentioned, cultural, hierarchical, just ordering yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. How can you remove some of those barriers and think forward in order to become a good leader? So, I challenge you to that, and that's all I have to share, most of it. I want you to become a great student and finish and use a lot of these, experiences in your knowledge to help our own people here in Indonesia. It's such a great reward, and I look forward to all of your success. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Hammond Limbong. It's a great speech, I think. Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can hear me.
I can hear you and I can
Yeah.
see you.
Okay, clear, yeah. Okay. Maybe I want to summarize your point. Leader is a must have a vision and agile mindset, not be a people-centered person and upskilling and reskilling people. So, innovation be a innovator, changed agent is us. Yeah. And champion in new technology, strategic thing out of the box, and lifelong learning. So it's a great speech, Professor Hammond Limbong. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Maybe may I ask a question for you?
Absolutely.
uh, you speak Bahasa in Australia sometimes?
Do I see Bahasa in the US?
Yes?
Sometimes, very seldom. Yeah. Only when I get here and I visit or I talk to my family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you know, forget your Bahasa is so nice.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. Oke, terima kasih Profesor Hamon Limbong atas pemaparannya, presentasi yang luar biasa sekali. Rekan-rekan mahasiswa, bagaimana keadaannya? Di sini masih standby semuanya. Kita akan mengadakan sesi tanya jawab setelah semua narasumber ini sudah memberikan pemaparannya. Mungkin saat ini sesi tanya jawab. Profesor Hamon Limbong, can you stand
Boleh,
by?
silakan.
Ya, and Pak Heru. Bapak Heru, Bapak Joko, dan juga
Ya,
Bapak
siap, siap.
Widodo. Jika ada pertanyaan dari mahasiswa, ini tadi sepertinya saya sudah baca ya. Ada pertanyaan
Siap,
mungkin?
siap.
Sebentar. Mungkin teman-teman dari IG juga boleh membantu saya ya untuk melihat daftar pertanyaannya, atau mungkin ada yang mau bertanya, raise hand dan unmute. Boleh open
Aku,
mic?
Mbak,
Ibu Deborah,
izin bertanya
Oke, boleh dengan Mbak Siti Aisyah, silakan. Boleh bertanya kepada siapa, Mbak?
kepada Bapak Heru, Dokter Haji Pak Heru ya, Pak Heru.
Ya,
ya,
silakan.
Eh, Bagaimana kepemimpinan yang buruk dapat mempengaruhi produktivitas dan budaya kerja di sebuah perusahaan atau di sebuah lembaga? Dan bagaimana strategi yang baik di dalam memimpin satu perusahaan itu agar bisnisnya itu bisa menjadi satu kepastian atau terbaik. Terima kasih.
Baik, silakan. Boleh langsung dijawab saja, Pak Heru.
oke, ini Bu Siti ya.
Iya, Bapak.
Oke, terima kasih apa pertanyaannya. Jadi kalau pemimpin yang buruk, apakah dapat apa namanya mempengaruhi perusahaan atau lembaga? Itu jelas pasti ya. Jelas pasti. Kalau pemimpinnya buruk, pasti operasionalnya buruk. Kemungkinan juga dari sisi akuntansi juga buruk kan, karena nggak bisa melihat sisi manajemennya, keuangannya, operasionalnya, kemudian memotivasi. Nah, di apa namanya gaya kepemimpinan itu kan ada yang eh, memang dia diktator bisa juga memberikan motivasi juga bisa. Kemudian ada yang partisipatif juga bisa. Tapi ada yang cuek-cuek saja. Mungkin yang dimaksud di situ itu mungkin pemimpin yang cuek-cuek saja gitu.
Iya,
Tidak
Pak.
peduli apa perkembangannya.
Kan pemimpin itu kan di atas. Dia kan punya anak
Ya,
buah, ya kan?
ya,
Jadi dia
ya,
menyerahkan semuanya kepada di bawah pemimpinan dia gitu, kepada
ya,
pekerja, gitu kan? Nah,
ya,
dengan begitu kan kadang kan dari bawah tidak pernah melihat atau tidak bahkan tidak pernah mengenal siapa pemimpin mereka atau CEO mereka gitu kan. Yang mereka lihat hanyalah bawahannya gitu loh Pak. Ini kan ada hubungannya juga dengan strategi gitu loh Pak. Jadi
ya,
nah menurut Bapak mohon maaf ya Pak, produktivitas dan strateginya begitu loh Pak. Terima kasih Pak.
ya. Jadi kalau pemimpinnya bagus, di dalam menerapkan strategi itu juga harus apa mengajak mengajak dari manajemen di bawah, di tengah, kemudian untuk berdiskusi bagaimana menerapkan strategi itu. Tapi kalau cuek-cuek saja kemudian diserahkan, bagaimana kalau manajer yang ada di tengah itu belok gitu ya, keluar dari rel, dari visi besar dari perusahaan, itu kan nggak bisa seperti itu. Jadi memang harus pemimpin yang di atas tetap memberikan motivasi. Tentu kalau misalnya multinasional gitu ya, ini CEO-nya di negara lain, tapi dia punya layer biasanya kan. Ada manajemen yang di tingkat atas, kemudian manajemen di tengah, nah yang di bawah, manajer ke bawah kan implementer. Nah, sehingga pertemuan-pertemuan rutin untuk memberikan motivasi, mengontrol perkembangan itu penting di situ. Nah, sehingga bagaimana pemimpin itu bisa berkomunikasi dengan baik itu yang paling penting. Jadi mengkomunikasikan visi, mengkomunikasikan operasionalnya visi itu, kemudian mengkomunikasikan strateginya. Nah, itu terus gitu. Nah, sehingga tidak mungkin yang di bawah langsung ke top manajemen kan nggak mungkin. Jadi paling tidak supervisornya itu yang mengarahkan sebagai leader yang ada di bawah. Nah, nanti leader atau manajer yang di bawah itu akan diarahkan pada supervisornya yang di atasnya. Begitu terus sehingga sampai ke CEO. Saya pikir itu sehingga perusahaan itu memang harus menerapkan strategi. Nah, strategi itu bisa baik kalau pemimpinnya juga baik, artinya menguasai pengetahuannya, keterampilannya, perilakunya, seperti itu yang saya sampaikan tadi di dalam eh, presentasi saya. Sehingga ada yang bilang begini, pemimpin itu harus bisa komunikasi secara efektif gitu. Apa artinya itu? Harus terbuka, kemudian harus bisa mendengarkan dengan baik. Mendengarkan. Pemimpin kalau nggak mendengarkan juga uh, tidak bisa menyerap inovasi yang tumbuh dari bawah. Kadang-kadang inovasi itu tumbuh tidak hanya dari atas, tapi kadang-kadang juga dari bawah. Kemudian bagaimana komunikasi dengan empati, baik itu komunikasikan visi maupun strategi. Jadi kalau pemimpin yang baik itu bagaimana kita menjadi orientasi orang lain. Jadi kita diikuti orang lain. Jadi kalau buruk kan nggak mungkin kita mencontoh kan. Tapi kalau baik dan kita merasa menjadi contoh bagi orang lain, maka itu akan baik di dalam implementasinya. Tetapi kalau buruk, tidak mungkin menjadi orientasi stafnya, tidak mungkin eh, bawahan memberikan empati kalau pemimpinnya nggak empati kan. Kemudian nggak mungkin bawahan itu mendengarkan kalau pimpinannya juga nggak mendengarkan gitu. Nah, sehingga di dalam kepemimpinan yang buruk tentu akan menghancurkan menurut saya organisasi atau perusahaan bisnis yang apa ya, yang sedang berkembang. Sehingga kalau bisa seperti Profesor Hammond Limbong bahwa kita harus menjadi agen perubahan. Kalau agen perubahan gimana? Ya harus baik. Artinya semua persyaratan etik itu harus dilakukan oleh pemimpin. Saya pikir itu, eh, Mbak Ais.
Ya, terima kasih
Terima
Bapak.
kasih.
Terima kasih
Ya.
banyak.
Baik, Mbak Siti sudah menjawab pertanyaannya cukup jelas ya sebelumnya. Kalau misalnya pemimpinnya buruk ya pastinya bawah-bawahnya akan keikut gitu. Jadi ya kita sebagai pemimpin kita harus berusaha menjadi yang terbaik versi kita karena agent of change itu adalah kita sendiri. Seperti itu ya. Oke, kemudian ada pertanyaan di kolom chat nih.
Itu ada Bu Deborah.
Oh iya, ada mungkin saya boleh membacakan dulu pertanyaan dari kolom chat karena sudah dari sebelumnya dari Mas Dani Christian Yohanes kepada Mr. Hammond Limbong. Hi, Mr. Hammond Limbong. I want to talk about leadership standard international for engagement for future. And I think younger very opportunity go international with them leadership. Um, it's a true, yeah.
Um, let's see. So you're talking about leadership in international settings. So every country has their own leadership styles. One other thing that I would like to emphasize in order to become a good leader or become a great leader is to learn about being a good leader. As Dr. Haru mentioned earlier, all the characters and the behaviors of being a good leader is pretty much generalized internationally, but professionally, there are those that are subject matter experts. Maybe like myself when I do some motivational training or other seminars or brown bag seminars or even classes and courses that leadership should take in order to continue their education about being a good leader. So if you work in a workplace that has leaders or levels of leaders, generally, internationally, most. companies will send leaders to continue their knowledge and their education in some of these courses and seminars on how to become a good leaders and how to take care of your employees and subordinates, how you need to be interested in their well-being and their future in the company as well. A lot of these positive energy continuously grows in a company if you become more knowledgeable in being a good leaders. And that's like the narrator said, it's very infectious to the whole company. So if you have a bad leader, we need to understand why they're bad. And so the company can take a look on how they can either, try to repair it or have to give them a different opportunities. So internationally, I've only visited several countries. I've been to Europe, to Southeast Asia. I've done consultations with some of the larger companies around the world, and they're pretty much the same. Different cultures, as you can imagine. Chinese people and Japanese people have a different mindset as far as how much work you have to put in a week, or Indonesians too. Sometimes you work 5, 6 days a week. It gets a little tiresome. And leaders need to understand how to balance the break and balance lifestyle with work in order to maintain, harmony and peace within the workplace. But overall, it's just culture and tradition that makes it different internationally. But essentially, being a good leader is all the same.
Yes, all the same. One question again. Yeah, how can a leader develop a strategic vision that is relevant and adaptive in the changing digital age, Mr. Hammond Limbong?
Excellent question. Some of the strategies I already pointed out as we get into the new digital age is number one is understanding all the digital products. So a lot of time should be spent by understanding cloud services, the IoT, understanding all the different application based and what cryptocurrencies, all the trends that are digital right now. And a lot of those sources based on data. So understanding data and data analysis is a really good start on how to enter into the digital era and transform yourself to be more knowledgeable about all the things that are upcoming in the future. So, and then apply your leadership, apply the strategic points on how you can become a leader in that digital area. So, there's another layer. Aside from being a good leader and a great leader, you need to be knowledgeable. So, like Dr. Harry said, you have to be smart and understand. So, when you take care of the company, when you take care of your team, you're able to expand your knowledge in that digital era as well as sharing some of those information with your peers.
Okay,
I
noted.
hope that answers the question.
Yes, exactly. So untuk teman-teman semuanya yang tadi mau langsung up on cam dengan Mbak siapa tadi ya? Deborah ya.
Hi.
Halo, ya
Yeah,
silakan Mbak.
thank you.
Siapa
This is
pertanyaannya?
Renata. And I'd like to ask to Mr. Hammond.
Hammond
Uh,
again, please,
sorry.
Mister.
Okay, so you were talk about leadership is being able to control the team, right? And to control self also. So I'm wondering how if as a leader he must have someone higher level leading him, right? How if he got framed by the higher level, by social media or by the digital technologies being framed, and he needs to decide between taking care of his dignity or the team. So, how do you manage those things? How do you know when to stop? I guess.
Okay, so
Thank
I'm
you.
trying to understand the question. um, is so this leader is taking too much time on social media instead of taking care of his team? Or, I'm sorry, can
No,
we
no.
rephrase the question?
Okay. You said digital. We have to collide with the digital era, right? So
Mhm.
Indonesian has a really um, significant culture with the surrounds with the local culture. So social media sometimes can really help, but sometimes it can really kill someone's personality. I mean, how if someone with the higher level set you or frame you with the digital media, social media? So what will you do as a leader? Will you,
I see.
or do you have to keep safe for yourself, or when do you know when to stop? That's the question. Thank you.
Yeah, so I understand. So people use social media to frame leaders. That happens actually quite a bit. And between Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, there's so many ways that
Anda suaranya marah menjebak, Robo.
Oh, sorry.
people have bad intentions, right?
Hah?
So
Jirene langsung suarane.
Maaf, boleh di mute, Mas Septeknya. Yeah, thank you.
sorry about that. So the way to deter social media negative responses is to maintain um, a neutral sense. When you're on social media and you're a leader, you have to carry that same characteristic and behavior on social media too. So, reputation means a lot, right? In Indonesia, reputation in Jakarta can be um, kind of, ruined by social media if you don't use it properly. So, maintaining a neutral presence in social media, maintaining a professional presence in social media is something a leader must do. If somebody else uses social media to frame leaders, you can always, report those things. You can always say it's not exactly what it is. In America, if you frame somebody, you get lawsuits. So you actually have to go to court and you can lose a lot of money if somebody frames you through social media, if it's not true. So I'm not really familiar with the system here, but I know we have courts here too. If you frame somebody and it's not true, you still get, some type of reprimand or punishment. Um, but exactly, that's the thing. There's just so much information, and trying to make sure that you get the facts, you get the truth from the person themselves before just watching social media or other medias that are untrue. One of the things that I emphasize the most is finding the truth from the person themselves, doing your research to make sure that all these information is true or not. That's the most important part of it. And so that doesn't change your status or your occupation as a leader. And you can share that with your team. You can share that with your company. And by doing that, you can all work together to fight some of those frameworks. I hope that solves the problem or answers the question.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. That I mean, yeah, that's the technically how to fix the things, right? But sometimes social media can really mean and can really can kill characters, you know, only by buzzer or sometimes yeah, so many things lah. And also AI also can be really manipulative and uh make the frame become something more realistic like that. I mean, if you keep trying to clear yourself, but then you know it's not gonna end easily, then when do you think we have to stop? How are you
Well,
gonna like when to stop or when to
yeah,
step out of the case and try to do something else?
typically, so the source is social media, right? Most of us understand that information is not obtained truthfully by social media. Much of social media is either fake or AI or it's not true. As a leader, typically I don't go to social media to find out the truth. Majority of the people that are in high level occupations don't go to social media to find the truth. So we don't really pay attention to social media when it comes to our work, our ethics, our characteristics, because most of the people know social media is not always true. Social media can be fabricated by AI. So spending too much time worrying about social media is not on the agenda of most leaderships. Okay. That's why true source is by asking the actual person themselves if they have any questions, but their reputation should not change based on social media because, like you said, anything could be made on social media. AI could be made. Things look so real that, oh my gosh, I have to question this. Well, ask the person or don't care at all because that's taking too much time out of your focus and your goals and your mission for the company.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I got it. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mr. Hammond. Thank you,
Thank you,
Kanav.
Mbak Deborah.
Absolutely. Great question, by the way. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Maybe about personal branding, I think ya di sosial media gitu. It's a worse maybe, but ya kita harus tahu juga ya. Maksudnya kita harus melihat orangnya tersendiri itu seperti apa gitu. Kalau saya tangkap dari Mr. Hammond, dan kita fokus ke tujuan kita tuh sebenarnya apa untuk company gitu ya. Oke, thank you Mbak Deborah.
Terima
Dan
kasih.
selanjutnya ini banyak banget ya
Bu,
ternyata permintaannya.
ini
Ya,
boleh nggak saya jawab pertanyaan dari Devira sama itu Mbak Ida?
boleh Pak. Baru saya mau membacakan,
Ya,
boleh langsung aja Pak. Iya, boleh. Silakan Pak Heru.
ya langsung ya.
Iya.
Jadi ada pertanyaan dari Ida Fitriani itu, bagaimana menghadapi tekanan pimpinan yang otoriter? Oh, ini kan berat, bagaimana melawan orang otoriter. Tapi yang jelas kalau kita berbasis Islam itu kan terus kita bilang wat sober gitu. Jadi kita harus sabar gitu. Kemudian satu, yang kedua harus menyuarakan tentang kebenaran. Jadi di dalam surat itu ya Al-Ikhlas ada tentang kita harus sabar, kemudian kita harus menyuarakan kebenaran itu untuk melawan orang otoriter. Kemudian juga kita harus memberikan solusi alternatif. Ketika pimpinan otoriter tidak benar, kita harus apa namanya sabar, itu satu ya. Kita tidak boleh emosi untuk melawan itu. Dengan ketawa tapi kita bisa nonjok juga. Yang kedua, bagaimana kita menyuarakan kebenaran dengan pimpinan yang otoriter itu. Kemudian juga kita memberikan solusi alternatif. Jangan sampai Anda melawan, kemudian Anda nggak punya alternatif. Nah, itu akan gemerang. Jadi kalau sudah punya ide itu ya untuk melawan, kemudian kita kita sabar, kita menyuarakan kebenaran, milik alternatif, kemudian kita mencari dukungan kepada rekan-rekan kerja. Artinya bahwa ini pimpinan salah loh, otoriter seperti ini. Jadi kita harus bermitra dengan kawan-kawan untuk menekan itu supaya berubah. Tuh. Nah, kemudian yang ketiga kita harus berkomunikasi dengan jelas. Ketika Anda kritik otoriter itu yang jelas itu di mana yang yang salah gitu. Jangan sampai Anda dengar-dengar kemudian Anda melawan bahwa itu otoriter yang sebenarnya orang lain tidak mengatakan bahwa itu otoriter. Jadi harus clear di dalam komunikasi secara jelas bagaimana otoriternya itu di mana sehingga solusinya juga benar. Kemudian suara tentang kebenaran itu juga disampaikan. Nah, tentu kita harus dengan baik-baik. Tapi kalau tidak bisa konfrontasi juga gitu ya. Artinya mulai dari yang eh, santai disampaikan dengan santun, kemudian agak naik-naik, kemudian konfrontasi di depannya. Itu bisa bisa terjadi semacam itu. Tapi konfrontasi dalam arti baik. Kita tidak melawan saling menjatuhkan, tapi kita melawan untuk membela kebenaran. Itu yang harus dilakukan. Sehingga yang otoriter itu jadi sadar gitu. Itu Mbak Ida kira-kira semacam itu. Jadi harus tenang lah kalau ada masalah. Dan responnya bisa dengan santai tapi keras itu bisa. Mungkin bisa belajar sama Pak Aman itu. Ngomongnya santai tapi mungkin bisa nekan secara keras apa yang dilakukan orang-orang yang nggak benar di sekitarnya. Biasanya orang bule itu seperti itu, ngomongnya kelihatannya halus tapi itu bisa apa terasa keras. Nah itu kira-kira. Jadi sabar, kemudian kita membela, menyuarakan kebenaran, kita berikan solusi alternatif. Syukur-syukur bisa konfrontasi artinya berhadapan untuk mencari jalan yang terbaik. Itu untuk Mbak Ida. Kemudian untuk Devira, bagaimana dinamik capability itu dapat membantu organisasi untuk kompetitif di era digital. Tentu yang namanya dinamik capability itu kan selalu berubah, me- apa, menyesuaikan perubahan-perubahan yang ada di luar. Kemungkinan juga terjadi di internal. Nah, ketika kapabilitasnya itu dinamis, tentu ini akan merespon perubahan-perubahan yang terjadi juga kan. Kapabilitasnya sehingga berubah-ubah terus. Karena apa? Karena ada perubahan. Kalau tidak kan masih statis. Tapi karena adanya perubahan, itu kita harus meresponnya. Nah, sehingga respon-respon yang dinamis itu tentu dapat membantu organisasi untuk lebih kompetitif. Kalau misalnya sebuah perusahaan tidak berubah ya, kita tidak punya kapabilitas yang bagus gitu. Kalau ada perubahan di luar, kita nggak respon juga. Nah, sehingga kita tahu-tahu udah ketinggalan jalan. Mau respon juga terlalu berat. Nah, sehingga dinamis itu penting dan itu akan membantu organisasi menjadi lebih baik, lebih kuat, lebih kompetitif. Saya pikir itu untuk jawab pertanyaan Bu Devi. Terima kasih.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Heru. Semoga menjawab ya, Mbak Devira. Baik, ini ada pertanyaan lagi dari ini Mas ya, Mai Hendra Putra kepada Mr. Hammond Limbong. In this digital era, what soft skill competency should be improved to become good leader?
That's an interesting question. Soft skill, huh? Soft skill untuk
Yes,
leadership.
ya.
Itu yang saya katakan Wow, I'm speaking Indonesian. Yang dari my lecture, saya udah ini pelajarilah bagaimana bisa menjadi leader ya. Soft skill-nya yang pertama itu harus melihat diri sendiri. What are your attributes? Apa karakteristiknya itu becoming a leader? Leader itu harus punya pengetahuan untuk semua area ya, paling nggak sedikit semua area. Pimpinan itu punya behavior, mau membantu dan punya vision ya, sama imagination untuk making your mission and the goal of the company become true. So they will find ways, they will constantly find ways and use different kinds of decisions in order to like make sure that the company does succeed. And that's one of the most important part of having a skill as a leader is you have the experience on how to create a safe working environment for all your employees, as well as having the drive and the programming or kind of vision to make sure that the company succeeds. So there's a balance between the two. You're always looking for ways in order to make the company success. And so by that, you have to have really good listening skills, like Dr. Heru said. You have to have the subject matter expert. You have to have a high interest in all of your employees with empathy, just like Dr. Heru said. Empathy is so important because then people have respect. People have respect for you. And if you respect your leaders, the company will look at you as a respectable employee. So it's a 360-degree it's a kind of I would say it's a circular motion of understanding how we can work together. So a leader doesn't say, "Well, I'm better than you because I'm a leader," or an employer says, "Well, I'm smarter than you because I am this and this." So we have to use the talents, the skill, and a lot of positivity and characteristics in order to create synchronous and harmonious environment. And that is what I find to be very successful. So, for instance, Amazon, for instance, Apple Company constantly either they also compensate their employees well, they constantly take them to classes and seminars, they give them awards, they give them a lot of different, company um, products. They also give a lot of raises and appreciation. One of the biggest things, and in America, majority of the employees do not really want salary raises. A lot of it, they just need to be acknowledged. A lot of them just want to be appreciated. Know that they are contributing to the company is important. And a leader should understand this, and a leader should create a pathway for you to succeed or even over succeed yourself because it is important to the company, but it's also important to the person's professional career ladder. Okay.
Okay, that's all the answer ya. Ada juga sih pertanyaan dari Mas Dadan, ini hampir mirip juga sih gitu. Pertanyaannya sudah dijawab juga oleh Mr. Hammond Limbong. So what I can underline is that a leader, apart from having good knowledge in this digital era, must also have good manners toward his subordinates. Mungkin ini jawaban yang mirip-mirip tadi ya yang sudah dijawab juga oleh Mr. Hammond Limbong. Oke, kita lanjut saja ke pertanyaan selanjutnya kepada Bapak Widodo. Bapak Widodo, dari
Yeah.
this is from Harry Setiawan. How to implement a more effective management change if there is such high resistance from middle to lower management that coming from the company's old employees?
Wow, that's speaking from experience. That's really good. That's a good question. So resistance. Let's talk about resistance first. What type of resistance are we getting from them? We need to understand the source of the resistance. And typically, older employees do have a lot of, attitude like, well, I've been here so long. This is how it works. I've been here so long, and it should be this way. I've been here for so long. You can't talk to me like that. A lot of those resistance come from people that think closed minded, right? Because they've been there so long. In America or in Europe, typically employees after 3 to 5 to 10 years need to be reassessed a lot of their competencies. So, if a company is really invested in their employees, if they are old employees, they would reinvest some money to reevaluate their competencies. So a lot of these resistance can be negated by having updated skills, updated competencies, updated approach to working together. But if you do have a lot of resistance from old employees, if you do get a lot of resistance, try to understand them first. Communication with leaders, communication with upper leaders, supervisors, managerials, directors. Explain to them, this is what I have found. These are the information that I've been given by some of the old employees. And this was the scenario. So a good leader will take a look at that case and say, well, this is not right. We need to reevaluate and let's try to work together to find a solution. So if you can, like Dr. Heru said, Sabar, be patient, don't get into your emotions, use your mind and imagination, and use forward thinking first before you confront them. And before you confront them, use all the information, write it all down. Say, hey, I wrote this all down, this and this, what happened. And ask your supervisor, how should I approach this if this happened? Ask your manager, how should I approach this if this case happens and this happens to the employee? I want to work with that old employee. I want to have a good relationship with that old employee. But these are the scenarios that are happening. How can we mitigate some of those cases? So if there is a good leader in the company, if there is a pemimpinan that cares, they would bring it to the table. They said, hey, we have updated some of these procedures. We have found new solutions in order to get to our goals for the company. Let's work together. And if not, there are ways, performance improvements. Managers will give you a chance to improve yourself. Or if you're too old or too long there, it might be time to find a new avenue. It might be find a new opportunity, a different company. A good leader would see that. So work together and use your use your smarts and your brain before you use your emotions, especially in a professional setting. Hopefully that answers that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hammond Limbong. Mudah-mudahan menjawab ya tadi pertanyaannya untuk manajemen change. Oke, karena itu adalah last question. Terima kasih kepada
Sebentar,
ya,
Mbak.
ya
Mungkin
bagaimana Pak Heru?
ada pertanyaan dari Widi Kartika itu.
Oke,
Mungkin
boleh
saya
silakan.
respon singkat ya,
Ya,
respon singkat. Jadi bagaimana menghadapi flying victim, kemudian bagaimana menghadapi gaya kepemimpinan yang tidak komitmen.
oke, baik
Nah,
Pak.
di dalam apa? Sorry, di dalam mengatasi masalah itu sebenarnya ada dua hal ya. Satu, pelatihan. Jadi ketika ada yang karyawan yang melakukan flying victim atau kepemimpinan yang tidak komitmen gitu, kita bisa dengan SOP itu mengadakan pelatihan terkait leadership. Nah, kemudian nanti ini kita masukkan isu itu. Nah, jadi walaupun itu satu orang, tapi semua dapat apa yang harus dilakukan. Itu yang pertama. Kemudian yang kedua, itu bisa konfrontasi, artinya berhadapan dengan orang yang melakukan flying victim atau berhadapan dengan pemimpin yang tidak komitmen. Nah, satu-satunya cara adalah bagaimana berkomunikasi dengan mereka dan mengutarakan tentang kebenaran. Itu kalau flying victim ya, kita berikan informasi-informasi yang benar sehingga tidak melakukan flying victim lagi. Kemudian untuk pemimpin yang tidak komitmen, sebenarnya kita bisa ingatkan juga, artinya kita harus sampaikan tentang kebenaran, kemudian juga kita harus tunjukkan bahwa dia tidak komitmen kepada apa. Bagaimana caranya? Kita bawa aja standar operation prosedurnya. Ini loh, Bapak itu nggak komitmen dengan apa yang ditulis di sini. Atau kita eh, menyampaikan strategi perusahaan yang sudah dibuat. Oh, seharusnya goalnya seperti ini kan. Tapi Bapak melenceng nih. Jadi harus menyampaikan kebenaran. Waktu konfrontasi juga aturan kita pakai, kemudian rencana perusahaan juga kita sampaikan. Sehingga kita tunjukkan nih, lo langgar ini nih, langgar komitmen. Bagaimana kalau kita kembalikan? Nah, ada lagi kita bisa evaluasi juga. Ketika kita melakukan evaluasi tahunan misalnya, perusahaan itu, kita bisa tunjukkan, oh ini keluar dari rel. Kemudian kita masukkan, kita benarkan ke rel yang benar gitu, dan baik. Sehingga tidak terus-menerus menjadi masalah, tetapi harus diselesaikan. Nah itu kita tinggal pilih, apakah kita mau menyadarkan melalui pelatihan, artinya kita undang pihak ketiga untuk menyampaikan, tetapi waktu latihan itu kita pesan isunya, ini loh, ini masalahnya. Sehingga trainer itu fokus. Kemudian yang kedua konfrontasi itu. Ketika konfrontasi tentu kita akan menyampaikan kebenaran dan aturan-aturan dan goal dari organisasi itu. Saya pikir itu Widi. Mudah-mudahan bisa menjawab. Terima kasih. Waktu saya kembalikan.
Baik, terima kasih banyak Pak Heru. Jadi langsung misalnya ada pelatihan langsung yang bersangkutan dimasukkan saja ya Pak ya. Jadi ada overview lain gitu dari pihak ketiga seperti itu. Jadi bisa jadi study case juga ya Pak. Baik,
Iya,
terima kasih
betul.
Pak. Baik sekali. Oke, eh, tadi adalah last question ya. Saat ini kita akan summarize sedikit tentang pembicaraan dan penjelasan dari semua narasumber kita pada pagi sampai siang hari ini. Itu luar biasa sekali. Dari pagi kita sudah berbicara tentang strategic leadership sampai dengan Mr. Hammond Limbong juga sudah memaparkan presentationnya gitu ya. Jadi memang namanya strategic leadership itu adalah em, apa ya istilahnya adalah kita sebagai leader itu harus mempunyai visi dan misi dulu gitu. Visi dan misinya seperti apa dan kita juga harus memiliki gaya kepemimpinan yang fokus gitu. Kita dapat mengkomunikasikan hal-hal yang baik dan ini bisa mengimplementasikan strategi yang efektif untuk mencapai jangka panjang yang juga bagus, baik itu di edukasi, corporate, entrepreneur, dan lain sebagainya di semua sektor. Kemudian leader ini harus memiliki visi, agile mindset, not be a people-centric person, upskilling, reskilling people, yang pastinya kita harus teamwork dengan subordinate kita, dan yang pastinya kita harus menjadi orang yang innovation ya, change agent, ya kita sebagai agen perubahannya, ya kita sendiri yang harus memberikan perubahan yang baik sebagai good leader. Kemudian kita strategic think out, ya out of the box. Kemudian kita juga mau belajar dan menjadi problem solver yang baik gitu. Kalau saya bisa merekap semuanya dan juga dikemas dengan kita juga harus punya knowledge tidak hanya secara manajerial tapi juga secara finance dan juga secara risiko-risiko atau manajemen risiko yang ada. Begitu, Bapak Ibu dan rekan-rekan mahasiswa semuanya, terima kasih banyak atas segala eh, komitmen ya sudah kita jalankan dari pagi sampai siang hari ini. Terima kasih kepada seluruh narasumber.